And joining me now is ABC News' Marcus Moore, live from Kyiv, and ABC News' Alex Perche here in D.C. So, Alex, what are the details on this plan? First, on the humanitarian side, to help sponsored Ukrainians get into the United States.
Well, Terry, this is being called Operation Uniting for Ukraine, and starting April 25th, essentially, as you heard the president say, American citizens and non-governmental organizations can essentially sponsor Ukrainians trying to flee, those refugees that have been trying to flee and come here to the United States. This goes along with the president's promise to bring upwards as many as 100,000 Ukrainian refugees into the United States. They're no longer having to go through the southern border. They can be sponsored. And also, a proponent of this plan, or a point of this plan, is these American citizens or these NGOs, there's no limit on how many Ukrainians they can sponsor. So assuming that these Ukrainian refugees are up to date on their vaccinations and also pass background and biometric screening, they'll be able to come stateside here.
It's important to note, at this point, most of the Ukrainian refugees, the 5 million who have left the country, they're staying close by. They think they can get back in. So let's go to Ukraine, in Ukraine. And Marcus, we heard air sirens where you're at just moments ago. The president said we're in a critical window in this war right now. So what does he mean by that? How do things feel there to you?
Well, Terry, those air raid sirens have become commonplace here, not only in Kyiv, but across the country, and in Lviv as well, which is far to the west and relatively far from the fighting that's been unfolding here. And we know that when the president is talking about the timing and how critical it is, they have been saying, the United States government has been saying that they believe Russia is preparing for yet an even bigger military operation. And so that gives it even more urgency to provide additional weapons and assistance to the Ukrainians who, as you heard Alex reporting, as well as James, that the Ukrainians are up for this fight. They are saying they will fight to the very end, but they need more assistance. And in particular, in the coming days, as Russia, again, is expected to step up its attacks, and even though we have seen a renewed offensive in the east just in the past couple of days, Terry, it is important to point out that the U.S. is saying that that is not the major attack that they anticipate to come in the future.
The battle for Donbass, perhaps the decisive battle in the war shaping up out in the east. Alex, President says he will need approval from Congress to keep funding aid to Ukraine. This is such a divided country. He's got low opinion poll ratings. Is he likely to get that approval from this Congress, do you think?
Well, Terry, just to get to the chase here, I haven't seen any clues that he wouldn't have that support yet in Congress. It's still very early. The announcement of he's going to be requesting supplemental funding from Congress to continue funding this war. But, I mean, if you take your cues from even the State of the Union speech that he gave earlier this year, this war is one of the few galvanizing issues for both Democrats and Republicans, their steadfast support of the Ukrainian people. But you also take into consideration that the price tag is astronomical at this point, more than $3 billion. And now with this latest round of $800 million in military funding, the U.S. Basically exhausting that drawdown fund, forcing the president to seek supplemental funding here. But at least right now, we haven't seen any indication from Capitol Hill that there will be any opposition to this.
All right, so that some bipartisan support for Ukraine there. And Marcus, the president says our total economic support for Ukraine will be about $1 billion in 2 months. That is far ahead of the European allies, especially Germany, which has been rather stingy in, especially when it comes to weapons. The president also told our Karen Travers that the United States can sustain this level of support for a long time with international unity. So let's talk about the international support. What international support have Ukrainians seen? What are they appreciative of? What are they looking for? Do they feel that they have a united front of the Western democracies behind them?
Well, the Ukrainians have felt like that, yes, they are receiving assistance, but, Terry, it has not come fast enough. And as you know, they were critical of the United States, saying that President Biden was moving too slowly in getting the aid to Ukraine. Many countries in the West have pledged their support to give to Ukrainian as they continue this fight, and it includes everything from ammunition to armored personnel carriers and even helicopters and drones, as you have already mentioned, and the anti-tank equipment as well. But what the Ukrainians really need at this point, in addition to that, is long-range artillery that will allow them to not only maintain a defensive posture in this fight, but also be able to launch strategic attacks on Russia that, again, is expected to mount a major offensive, the U.S. believes, and other Western governments believe, in the future. So the equipment has been coming in, but as you know, they are continuing to fight. But as we've heard in Mariupol, they are pretty much at the last stand there, and there has long been a need and a request and a desire for additional resources, and the Western governments have offered that, Terry, not only military assistance, but also humanitarian assistance as well.
Absolutely. Marcus, Alex, thanks to both of you for that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.